Didn't listen to me then, I bet they feel me now. Time don't let me lose it. The booth not about to prove it. I set goals and pursue it. You the best to never do it. Invest my money, talking fluent, stupid, ducking the Judas. It broke my heart, but over my eyes, you have no honor, I have no choice. Chasing the commas till I'm gone. I've been left for a minute. On my way home, mama, I promise, got caught up in it. Damn. Everybody eats when I'm batting at the plate. First, second, third, home, $1 million babe.
What's up, people? We back.
That Hotep Jesus dude.
Hotep Jesus? I love that guy. He's terrific.
Hope y'all feeling good today. Hope y'all feeling well. Welcome to another stream. Shout out to my members. DMW 24/7 TV JA in the chat. Shout out to Renee Vogel. Renee Vogel blessing me with some great artwork. He's the one that dropped that put together that artwork for me for the Cyprian debate. I'm debating Cyprian on AI this Friday. That's going to be wild. That's going to be exciting. Great big brain conversation. I can't wait to dive into that. If you're in Austin, Texas, I'll be in Austin, Texas from the 25th to the 27th. I fly out on the 27th, so basically the 25th and the 26th. I'll be at the Syscoin Rolux party. And I might stop by there's another crypto conference down there as well. Might stop by there. You know, making my rounds around the crypto world. You guys know how much I love fintech. I talk about fintech on this channel. And as you already know, in this conversation today, we will be including some big brain talks. And we will be talking about the CBDC. The CBDC, ironically, came up in conversation. We'll get into it. We'll get into that a little bit. But shout out to the Syscoin squad. Can't wait to see those guys again down in Austin. So that'll be dope. What are the audio issues? What audio issues are you guys hearing? Oh, you can hear that? It's like a ringing noise, right? Yeah, I hear that too. What is that? It's only coming from the mic feed. I tried to fix that before I got online today. What is that? It's a hissing, right? All right, I'll look into that. It sounds like a mosquito in the background. Yeah, I don't know what that is, man. I'll look into it. Hopefully it's not too bad. Little feedback hum, right? High pitch hissing and ringing. Yeah, this is kind of recent too. Like when I mute, it goes away. and then so it's just on the mic feed. Yeah, I was muting the feed to see what happened there. Hold on. Yeah, when I mute the mic, it goes off. But again, I don't know why it comes back after I don't mute the mic. It's really odd. All right, whatever. Let's push through it, and I'll work on it later. So today's topic is to talk about Justin Pearson and his Blaccent. Shade Room was dubbed a right-wing. They were talking right-wing conspiracy talking points. And the Biden administration ended the COVID emergency. I'll be honest with you. There's nothing to research about the COVID emergency ending. I thought that had ended already. We didn't need an announcement from the White House to tell us that had ended. The rest of us have moved on with our lives a long time ago, definitely more than a year. So thanks for nothing, Biden, for alerting us of basically nothing. What does that mean, though, as far as policy is concerned? Does that mean that certain pieces of funding to certain private institutions or state-funded institutions has ceased? What exactly does that mean? I don't know. I don't know what that means. But yeah. Again, like I said, I'm not going to research that because it's just an absolute waste of my time, quite frankly. So let's dive into the topic that everybody wanted to talk about. This guy here, I didn't know who this guy was. Apparently he got kicked out of, he got voted out or kicked out of his political grift position and, for protesting. I guess they had a insurrection in Tennessee or something like that. So let's pull up. Let me go into my bookmarks here and pull up some video here. Got quite a few things to look at in regards to this conversation. I got some Curtis Schoon tweets I want to pull up. So let's see what we got here. What should I play first? Let's pull up the Schoon tweet. Why not? All right, so here's Schoon. He says, here's Justin Pearson before he was possessed by the ghost of MLK, started wearing his Afro wig. And started wearing his Afro wig. Stop letting these liberals insult your intelligence. The entire civil rights era was a sham. When are you going to understand your heroes were frauds? Wow. That's one hell of a take. Absolutely one hell of a take. Before we get into Justin Pearson, let's talk about this line right here. When are you going to understand your heroes were frauds? Well, frankly, I had the same notion as I started to look at the work of Black Lives Matter, et cetera, et cetera. Hold on, I'm going to unplug my headphones and see if there's a conflict there with the headphones. Tell me if you still hear the hissing after I unplug my headphones. If you still hear it, type 2. If you still hear the hissing, type 1 if you no longer hear it. But I just unplugged my headphones to see maybe if there's a conflict with the headphones. Anyway, that's the notion I got. Looking at BLM, looking back, studying the work of Thaddeus Russell and some of his teachings and lectures, I was looking at it funny. Like, was MLK and the civil rights movement is still there? Okay. All right. Yeah, I have to circle back on that. And we'll play this video in just a moment so you guys can hear the audio. Hey, everybody. Did they do the... Okay, so this is the before. I want the video where it shows both. But let's finish talking about this point here. The civil rights movement can be explained with the Gil Scott-Heron quote. The revolution will not be televised. So if you see it on TV, it's probably not the revolution. And if it is the revolution, they'll label it an insurrection or some other term of lambastation. So when we see the amount of traction, you know, how much that we are taught about this, that's a red flag for me. The fact that we're taught about the civil rights movement having such an impact on our lives, et cetera, lets me know that, all right, I can't take dope. I can't take it serious. The civil rights movement to me feels like BLM in hindsight. Were there some good actors? I'm sure. Were there some good actors caught up in some, stunts? What do you call it? Publicity stunts. Sure there was some good actors. I'm not going to speculate today who those people were or who the bad actors were, mostly because I don't have much evidence to back my claims, and I didn't live in that time period, so I don't want to speak from a place of no substantiation and no evidence. But people like Baldwin, looking real funny in the light to me. You know, I'm sure if I were to dig in there deep, I could see how he was an agent of chaos. May have caused division within the ranks of Black Revolution, if you want to call it that. MLK, an agent, potentially. And that's no diss to his family members or his legacy, et cetera, but I think once he did a U-turn on what the agencies wanted him to do, that's when they said, all right, this guy has got to go. He's not following the rules. And that's when they took him out. So, yeah, I agree with Schoon. The entire civil rights era was a sham. Even if it wasn't a sham, the results of it were a sham. I mean, integration was a huge failure for the Black community. You see that Black families were together more before integration. Household net worth was higher before integration, adjusting for inflation. Life seemed to be better. And then we got forced to bus into white communities, and white communities were forced to bus into Black communities, and et cetera, and individualism perished. I would say civil rights movement was the destruction of civil rights. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. Let's get back to the topic here. Let's go here, and look at this tweet. So again, once you understand Dr. King was an agent, it becomes easier to see his imitators for exactly what they are. This is what Schoon tweets about this Pearson guy. And again, I couldn't argue with that. And then he finds this piece of information here, which I thought was intriguing. What are the odds both DeRay, now you guys remember DeRay, Mr. Blue Vest. He was notorious during the rise of the Black Lives Matter era. And said they both graduated from Bowdoin College. I don't know how to pronounce that. Bowdoin College in Maine. We should look into the scholarships that made this possible. Surely there's a Soros connection. Is Bowdoin College some kind of training ground for Black historical impersonators? Woo! It's That's spicy right there. That's spicy right there. Maybe this is like, you know, Chia or Charlie Indigo Alpha. You know, they like to set up shots at different educational institutions. So maybe this is one for black activist upstarts. Who knows? Who knows? Now let's go to the video and let's really judge this video. I'm gonna plug my headphones back in here and let's dive into this video. And I'll give you guys my take. I'm gonna tell you right now, my take on this guy is not popular at all. What the hell? Okay, there we go. Yeah, my take on this is not popular at all. So let me find, here we go. Is this it? Okay, that's fine. We'll play one and then the other. That's fine. So let's go here and let's play this clip. Twitter's been glitchy as hell lately, man.
Pearson, and I'm running for president of PSG. There are a few reasons that we're running this campaign this year. One has to do with representation. How can we represent all voices in a conversation? I wanted to do this.
Let's talk about his look. So he's got this, he's a young kid, he's no facial hair, but he's got this clean cut look. There's no afro, got his hair shaved down. This is years ago. And years ago, the white liberal didn't want you to actually look African American or whatever the term is. They didn't want you to look black. They were still practicing this Puritan concept of visual representation. And this is what, you know, you had to look like, and maybe still have to look like for TV purposes, to say the least. But now they want at least the black left. The black left has... the black left tries to dress very ethnic and do the Afro thing and all of that stuff. But it wasn't always like that. Usually that was a Hotep thing. Back in the day, that was a Hotep thing to be super ethnic. But now the black left uses that to fool people, I believe. But let's go to his accent.
By partnering with organizations from the
So obviously he sounds white. He's got the good
Democrat
Queen's English going on there, right? And then they play this clip. And this guy says Justin Pearson is a powerful orator.
Representatives were thrown out of the state house. Democracy seemed to be at its end. Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes. Resurrection is a promise, and it is a prophecy. It's a prophecy.
All right, I'm not paying attention to what he's saying because he's just going to spew pure garbage, and, you know, there's no point in even trying to listen. So let's talk about his accent. Now, I was at a funeral earlier this year, recently, actually, and I was listening to the preacher, and the preacher sounded like that. So as I'm listening to him speak, you know me, I always overanalyze everything. I'm like, this is a show. This is, I mean, he obviously doesn't speak like this when he talks to his friends. The changes in inflection of the voice, the increases in volumes in certain places. This is obviously some sort of public speaking tactic to capture attention and hold people's attention. So when I see preachers do it, I think they fronting or putting on a performance, because nobody actually speaks like that. So when I see this kid do it, I don't see impersonation. I don't see anything fraudulent. I see somebody understanding how to speak to a certain group of people and using that style of speech to capture his audience. Now this guy here says Justin Pearson is a powerful orator. I wouldn't argue that. Obviously, powerful would have to be subjective. You know, if you ask me what a powerful orator means, it would have to be some substance behind the words you say and not just how you say it. I think some people get caught up in how you say things, and I think he's got the how down. Now, what is he saying is a whole nother story. I saw him earlier in another video. Maybe I should pull that one up, and we could listen to him speak, because that was like... I don't even know what's going on with the black left. I don't even know what the hell is, what has happened. Here it is. Let's listen to this one. We've lost our way.
The house of the Lord. I'm so glad to be in the house of the Lord with you this morning. Would you mind going ahead and praying?
You kind of like, if you in the black church, you have to learn how to do that. You have to learn how to do this preacher voice. And I think along with that comes a larger audience, and thus the coffers grow.
Praying with me now, Mother God, Creator God, loving God, holy God. Take this, your servant made from dust, and connect it with the raw materials of stardust to speak in this moment, to say something that brings forward the word you placed into my heart. I accept my unworthiness for such a task as bold as this, and I seek your guidance as you use me and speak through me. To the ancestor preachers who made sermons from hymns.
No, this isn't it. What is this?
Tongues, they will pick up snakes with their hands, and when they drink dead.
No, that's not the clip. Which clip was it? Or was it this one? No, it's not that one. Justin Pearson. Is this it? No.
Into the house of the Lord.
I think it's this speech, but that's not that clip. And he says something about trans people.
Who still believe in a prophecy of a Jesus, who tells us that even amid.
And he talks about like gun violence or something like that. Was it his gun violence speech?
State of Tennessee might last, but oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes. Resurrection is a promise. And
yeah, he's definitely trying to go after the church. He wants to. I guess he's following in the line. I guess that would put him in line with MLK. Who's the other brother? Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson. He'd be in that lane. That's the lane he would be in. Now, let me change this search and find that clip. Because this is just disturbing for me. Here it is.
Has not been a place of debate for Democrats. This house has not been a place of debate for people who are transgender. This house has not been a place of debate for people who are LGBTQIA. This house has not been a place of debate for people who are already persecuted in our society. This house ain't even been a place of debate for people who wear beautiful dashikis in honor of their ancestors who made it.
Like I said, you know, like the whole dashiki thing, the afro. Nobody wanted to wear this stuff. Except for Hoteps back in the day, and now it's like, oh, now you want to wear the dashiki. But it's just like, everybody knows, anybody who rocked the dashiki, you're not saying this.
Transgender?
You're not saying that.
For people who are transgender?
What?
For people who are transgender?
The dashiki come from Africa. Africa ain't playing that. Africa not playing them rainbow games. This is a slap in the face to the ancestors. This is a slap in the face to the person who created the dashiki. This is a slap in the face to black culture. These people are supposed to come up here and talk for black people, I guess. But that's not what they do. They shoehorn the race conversation and the LGBT conversation into everything. Into everything. And who started this? Black Lives Matter did, certainly. They certainly started this. Let me see if it's in my likes. No, it's not there. But this is started by Black Lives Matter. And you guys know I exposed this years ago that Black Lives Matter was a ruse and it was a front organization for the LGBT movement, for the rainbow. We know that.
All hope seemed to be lost. Representatives were thrown out of the State House. Democracy seemed to be at its end. Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us.
Good news for us.
I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last.
But
oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes. Resurrection is a promise, and it is a prophecy. It's a prophecy that came out of the cotton fields. It's a prophecy that came out of the lynching tree. It's a prophecy that still lives in each and every one of us in order to make the state of Tennessee the place that it ought to be. And so
now, let me just say, the South is known to be racist. It's known to be anti-black. Maybe even Tennessee. I don't know. I haven't done my studies on Tennessee. But I think there might be a legitimate concern about how black people are treated in Tennessee. I think there might be. I just don't understand what they got to do with the rainbow.
Still got hope because I know we are still here.
I know that's not the leader they need. I know this ain't the leader they need. You know who the type of leader black people need? I gotta find this brother. Oh my God. Hold on, I gotta find this. Who's the black Republican out of Florida that made that speech the other day? Let me see if I can find him. Here we go, right here. Here we go, right here. This the brother. This is the leader we need right here. Hold on. Let's play this clip.
I'm looking at society today, and it's like I'm watching an X-Men movie.
See, he keeping it funky. Listen to how he speaks too. He doesn't have the fake preacher voice on. He's talking quite frank, honest, upfront, plain language.
I'm looking at society today, and it's like I'm watching an X-Men movie with people that, when you watch the X-Men movies for Marvel Comics, it's like we have mutants living among us on planet Earth.
That's a great analogy. That's a really great analogy. This is Florida Republican Rep Webster Barnaby. Let's try to remember that name, Webster Barnaby. I'm sorry, when I have to remember people's names, I say I can remember people's names, so I have to write it. Webster Barnaby.
And, you know, some people don't like that, but that's a fact. We have people that live among us today on planet Earth.
Now, real quick, let's just make a quick segue right here, or sidebar. Look at this. This is the person that's got issues. If we look at their account, Latina, they love to use the minorities. Harvard Law, gender and tech, pronouns in the bio. This is the person that's got something to say about this black man. Some of the greatest institutions of education. Now, remember we were talking about, this is interesting. I just spotted this in her banner. Look at this. This looks like, this is probably the 70s. And you see here in the background, this rainbow revolution in the background. You see the two dudes kissing here right now. So this is long been in the works, these types of movements. But anyway, and this comes off of the civil rights movement, and going back to Curtis Schoon said about the civil rights movement being a complete sham. But anyway, this is who's got something to say. 131,000 followers, she, her pronouns, whatever. Let's come back. Now she says here, he called the T people, including children, present in the room, demons and imps. Why you gotta try and throw children in there? Children ain't got nothing to do with that. Y'all like to put the babies into the rainbow conversation. We want them to learn math and science and how to read. And y'all want to confuse them. Y'all got them concerned with this whole identity thing. Why can't you identify with what you're great at? They don't even have a chance to find out what they're great at because they're trying to figure out should they wear a dress or some pants. This is the decisions you're forcing kids to make. This makes absolutely no sense, and it's becoming difficult to make these decisions. And it says here, during this debate, HB 1421, that would criminalize T people from using bathrooms. What's wrong with that? Yeah, what happened to protect women? Do we have to pull up all the stories where a biological male walks into a female bathroom and people are assaulted? What happened to protect women? What happened to rape culture and all these things that they were talking about?
Are happy to display themselves as if they were mutants from another planet.
Talk, brother.
This is the planet Earth.
Talk to him.
Where God created men, male, and women, female.
This is the leader we need. This is the leader we need.
I'm a proud Christian, conservative Republican.
Say it loud.
Male and women, female. I'm a proud Christian, conservative Republican.
Say it loud.
I'm a proud Christian, conservative Republican.
Say it one more time.
I'm a proud Christian, conservative Republican.
In case you ain't hear him.
I'm a proud Christian, conservative Republican.
Continue, Mr. Webster.
I'm not on the fence. Not on the fence. There is so much darkness in our world today.
Yes.
So much evil in our world today.
Preach.
And so many people who are afraid to address the evil, the dysphoria, the dysfunction. I'm not afraid to address the dysphoria or the dysfunction.
Brave.
The Lord rebuke you, Satan.
Rebuke.
And all of your demons and all of your imps who come and...
All right, hold up, real fast. We got to look up what an imp is. Let's go here. Imp, a mischievous child, a small demon, a graft. Let's pull up some pictures here of the imp. Woo! This is what he called these people. I ain't mad at it either. Anyway, let's go back.
Parade before us. That's right. I called you demons and imps who come and parade before us and pretend that you are part of this world.
Ooh.
So I'm saying my righteous indignation is stirred. I am sick and tired of this. I'm not going to put up with it. You can test me and try to take me on, but I promise you I'll win every time. Let's all vote up on this bill. Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? That sound like, now, you know, when you come to my channel, I always boast and say, hey, there's no bias. My only bias is human nature and common sense. doing what's right. Now, when we go and we listen to this other brother here, this dude,
That day on Saturday,
all this theatrics and whatnot.
promise, and it is a prophecy.
And when we listen, let's listen for substance.
It's a prophecy that came out of the cotton fields. It's a prophecy that came.
It's a prophecy that came out of the cotton fields. So this is what you would call evil genius, right? Because he understands black people, the black liberals understand, especially with these older folk, these black boomers and shit. You mentioned the cotton fields and slavery, and they get triggered, their ears perk up, and now you got their attention, and they think you must be saying something right because you mentioned slavery. Slavery's over, bro. That idea of picking cotton only exists in Arab nations at this point, in parts of Africa, and even Libya is controlled by an Arab population after the bombing by the Obama administration. In America, is a different type of slavery. It's now wage slave. It's now currency slave. And we'll be talking about the Federal Reserve in a bit here.
Came out of the lynching tree. It's a prophecy.
Came out of the lynching tree. So we got, these are all like trigger words, right? Like cotton, lynching tree. Keep in mind, white people lynched people of all different races. This is facts. This is facts. The way white folks in Europe handled capital punishment was by lynching of all races. That's just the way they did things, including black people. Now, does that mean that there were black people that were lynched unfairly? Of course there were. Of course there were black people. There's a humongous history of black people being lynched unfairly, hunted down and whatnot. But we don't need to have ownership over the lynching tree. We don't need to have ownership over the lynching tree. But this is the way white folks handled things back in the day. They even had this thing called the pillory. Are you guys familiar with the pillory? Let's pull up pillory. And this is a wild ass device. Remember this thing? Y'all seen this thing on? Y'all probably seen this on your cartoons and whatnot. This is the type of shit that Europe was doing. You'd sit in there and that was your punishment. They'd put children in this. They would put children in these things. And this was your punishment. You had to sit there like this. You had to do your sentence like that. Whole day, days. They even tied their children to trees. White folks back in the day tied their children to trees. Anyway, let's come back.
Prophecy that still lives in each and every one of us in order.
It's called a pillory. Somebody type it in the chat form. It's called a pillory.
To make the state of Tennessee the place that it ought to be in. So I've still got hope because I know we are still here. And
I still got hope because we're still here. I get it. I get it.
we will never quit.
I'll raise my voice. We will never quit. Okay. Keep in mind, he said nothing so far.
Out of order.
Then the fist goes up in the air. Make it seem like he did something. Standing ovation.
Out of order.
I mean, all he did was just... Now look at that audience right there. Let's play Count the NASAs. How many NASAs do you see? A total of 2, maybe 3. The rest of it is all white liberals or leftists or communists or whatever title we're giving these people. White commies. Look at all these white college kids. Parents pay good money to send them to college to go learn, and they come out fake revolutionaries. And then we got the boomer class here. The black community is never going to come up until the boomer class is unseated from positions of power. Unless you give us guys like this. Unless you give us reps like Webster Barnaby. then, I'm all in. I'm all in. But the problem with the boomer class is they saw the end of slavery through the eyes of their parents. They lived the civil rights era. They even dealt with, blatant racism. So they have a chip on their shoulder. Older black folks usually have a chip on their shoulder because they dealt with real racism. And therefore, they view America today in the same way as it was then. Now, here's the issue. The issue is they don't know how to combat the issues that face the black community today because, well, boomers were born with the TV, and the TV gave them the civil rights movement. So in their head, they think the civil rights movement is the way you handle things, but it's not. And you even have some people look to the Black Panther Party, and I don't want to disparage the Black Panther Party, but the Black Panther Party back then, it was a bunch of kids. Huey P. Newton, these guys are young. So, obviously, being young, you had a lot of energy, a lot of revolutionary energy, but you didn't have too much of an older influence who was wise in espionage, intelligence, modern warfare, ancient warfare, and just overall strategic thinking. And you see that where, and obviously they didn't benefit from the internet. I mean, we go back in time and put me in that time period. I'm probably a Black Panther. So I'm not faulting them for their mistakes. I'm just pointing out why they had some ignorance. Lack of good information circulating. When you have bad information, you make bad decisions. It just is what it is. But now that we have more information, access to the internet, we can't tackle these issues the same way. We have to come outside of our myopic view of things and really look at the world for what it is. Also, you got to keep in mind that a lot of these older folks are poorly educated in school or miseducated or diseducated in school, given bad information, not given enough information, and just completely ignorant of how the world works, how power works. The idea of white supremacy is, in my opinion, a farce. There is no such thing as white supremacy. It's just a talking point created by the oligarchs and the aristocracy to keep people divided and to make poor whites think they're better than poor blacks. That's what the idea of white supremacy is. The idea of white supremacy is to convince poor whites they are better than poor blacks so that those poor whites will never actually ask for their government to do better. Because as long as I'm doing better than a Negro, I don't care. Yeah, easily infiltrated, correct. So yeah. The problem with the black community right now is you see this. So you see this right here. So you have a huge disparity, right? So here we have the older black contingent, right? And then the black plight is combined with white kids. So you got white kids and old black people. Two completely different groups from different eras, different parts of the United States, different backgrounds, different upbringing, and neither of them have a clue. Neither of them have a clue. They've all been fed a bunch of propaganda. And all they do is make problems worse. They actually make things worse for black people. We now have to share the back of the bus with the rainbow community. That's just not strategically sound. This is why black folks not going to get nowhere. Because every time there's a black movement, first we got pushed aside and we had to divide it between the black revolution and black feminists. So that got divided. Once they divided that, then they came around with the rainbow flag. And now it's divided even further. Then the rainbow flag got a bunch of divisions under that. Some of them don't get along. And still the black problem is not addressed. And there's nothing the government can do about the black problem. They can get out of our way. They can repeal policies. But for the most part, what the black community needs is nepotism. It's just simple. They need nepotism. But it just disgusts me to see all these white kids up here clapping for this guy. And he said nothing. He has said nothing. He has nothing of substance to say. What other clips we got from this fool? I really don't want to hear his sermon. All right, let's hear his take on
represents
reparations.
60% black. Tell me how your gun reform.
Oh, this
Tell
is
me about
Teslin
your black
Figueroa.
policy. You know, not
Figueroa.
about everybody and help everybody. You represent.
So this is Teslin, and Teslin, you heard what she just said. She's like, I don't want to hear about anybody else. Speaking of the rainbow, obviously. But listen.
Tell me about your black policy. You know, not about everybody and help everybody. You represent 60% black. Tell me how your gun reform or whatever policy you're working on. Do you support reparations? Some people said you didn't, and then others said you did. Like, give us a quick rundown, specifically on black people that you represent in your district.
Yeah, I am 100% pro-black, and here's the reality that we got to talk about. When you do for black folk, everybody does benefit.
Yeah, we know, but I'm gonna ask you about the black policy.
So I am. I got you.
You want to know about your policy?
My policies. Exactly.
Yeah, you're dancing. Exactly. Exactly. You heard Charlemagne. You heard him. Let's listen again.
For black folk, everybody does benefit.
Yeah, we know, but I'm gonna ask you about the black policy.
So I am. I got you.
You want to know about your policy?
My policies.
He dancing. Even Charlemagne knows this nigga dancing.
Exactly. When you think about reparations, I'm 100% for reparations. I have been for a very long time. For cash, for credit, for check, for credit card, for trust fund. And I was on Bev Johnson, another member of the iHeartRadio community, in January, and I explained the reason why I'm for reparations isn't just because of the enslavement of black people, because there are some people who say, well, you weren't enslaved, and then we have to walk through housing segregation, we got to walk through lynching, we got to walk through mass incarceration, which we're experiencing now. What about reparations for all of these harms that we have experienced all the way up into the present?
I got to pause it every few moments just in case there's a copyright strike and whatnot.
Are you willing to put it on your website though? Because it's not under your website on issues.
Yeah.
Are you willing to do that? Okay.
This is a huge talking point for the black community. Reparations is a huge talking point. Huge. Democrats won't address it.
I'm willing to do that. It is not the issue that people in District 86 are saying is number one for them. Because to the point that was made earlier, they're definitely concerned about safety. They're concerned about crime. A lot of my population is also elderly. And so you'll see on the website, aging justice. There's not enough money in Social Security to actually help elders.
Yeah, you see the preacher voice is gone. The preacher's voice is gone because this is not a time for performance.
Live out the rest of their lives in a meaningful way. So policies that we're putting forward have to do with people being able to grow old well, which not only include financial increases in money, but creating opportunities for them to gather and to have community. I live in the most polluted, one of the most polluted districts in the state. And so, God rest their souls, both my grandmothers have died of cancer.
And we still got to get into the Federal Reserve. I spent entirely too long on this. I'm sorry.
Answer. My grandmother Pearson, grandmother Gwynn, and it was due to environmental racism, which disproportionately hurt black people and poor people. So both my grandmothers lived in a community, this community I live in now, where there are 17 toxic release inventory facilities that are polluting our air, water, and our soil. And so the black policy that I have, as you articulated it so well, is finding where there are the injustices in environment and education, dealing with gun violence and everything that we can do, putting the resources toward them, because it's indeed the majority of my district.
So it's a lot of what and not how
That's being impacted, but the
like this is why I was saying, like when people talk, there's not really much substance.
effects of it continue to be on everybody.
He's like, this is what we're going to address. Okay, how? How are you going to do this?
And what is important to note here is that for us to seek and to be a part of liberation, and this is
liberation. I hate when they use that word because they're not using it right.
This is really important. The people who do have the resources also have a responsibility. And so when I talk about white people's engagement and involvement, it is not to say I'm just concerned about what they think or what they feel. It's because I believe white people and people of privilege and power have a responsibility of choosing a social location with the people who are being marginalized because they have our money and our resources, and they have a lot of what they have because of what we do not.
All right, I think I'm done with this guy. I've exhausted that. Let's go on to the next topic. I'm tired of talking about these because they just work my blood pressure up. Let's go to this. Now, this is wild right here. This is what you call, now this is NASA wrangling. Here, what they want to do is they're wrangling in black media. All right, so look at this. So, and I'm going to get to the super chats. We'll open our phone lines. Yeah, it's boule babble. Exactly, Jabari. Just boule. Black boule babble. All right, so here it says, this is MSNBC. Okay. And it says here, hold on, let me, I want to adjust the screen so you see exactly what I see when I see it. All right, so let's bring it right there. That's good enough. Okay, so you see this? The black culture platforms that push right-wing extremism. Black culture, right-wing extremism. Now they have to rein this in. See, anytime black folks start using their brain and thinking, you got to demonize it. And right now, the best way to do it is call it right-wing extremism. Now, that should tell you much about the black community. The fact that MSNBC has to write this article. They commissioned this black guy, Jahan Jones. They commissioned him. Obviously, they always get one of us to write about it. I mean, who else is going to write about black culture other than a black guy? Right? So it does make sense. But obviously, he's got to denigrate the culture. But God forbid you start thinking. But this should tell you something. When MSNBC labels black culture platforms as right-wing extremism, this should tell you a lot about the black community leaning conservative. And they gotta rein that in. So let's go in the article here. Did I make highlights? Okay, cool. So here we got in the Shade Room post. Now he's talking about Shade Room here. I don't know if you're black, you know who Shade Room is. If you're not, you might not know who Shade Room is, but this is one of the more popular media outlets for black entertainment and black culture. Okay. It says in the Shade Room post, the author quotes Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis and other right wingers referring to the central bank digital currency conspiracy theory. And this is where we're going to have to talk about the Federal Reserve. Okay, which essentially claims a global cabal is looking to establish digital currencies to patrol and control their citizens. So when black people participate in the conversation about a one world digital currency or a central bank digital currency, they must be labeled right-wing conspiracy theorists and they can't think for their own. Ron DeSantis put that in our brain. No, that's just not what it is. So it continues here. The Shade Room also quoted Republican Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, Mike Braun of Indiana, and Chuck Grassley of Ohio as they whined about the threat posed by the Biden administration's non-existent plans to create a digital dollar. Non-existent plans to create a digital dollar. Now, if you watched my stream yesterday, you know that those plans are everything but non-existent. Everything but non-existent. We got to go back to Men of Order, and I'll pull it up here. I'm not going to go through the whole document like I usually do. But it says right here, menoforder.com, as you can see on your screen. There's a fact sheet. White House releases first ever comprehensive framework for responsible development of digital assets. It's right here on whitehouse.gov. It's right there. published September 16, 2022, talking about digital assets. But in the article, he said there's non-existent plans to create a digital dollar. Now, the only thing I agree with him with is he says, in the meantime, if either of the aforementioned platforms are part of your news diet, I recommend a cleanse. Now, we've said this before, that Shade Room definitely is not good for the culture. We've said this before. It's not exactly the most nourishing and healthy content for any mind. So I agree with him on that. But this is where he draws the line. I mean, all of the debauchery, lechery, defunct behavior, ratchetness that occurs on these outlets, this is where you draw the line. This is what these black liberals are paid to do. Protect leftist government policies. You could go and do the most wild thing. MSNBC won't say a thing. But if you dare say, oh my God, there's a CBDC coming, there's a digital dollar coming, all of a sudden, don't listen to these platforms. They're radicalizing black people with right-wing disinformation. See right here, the theory plays on a theme in right-wing disinformation, right? Then they want to throw anti-Semitism in there and all of that. So it linked to this article here. DeSantis and RFK misconstrue Fed's digital plans in a warning of government overreach. And we look at this article, as you can see here, I made several highlights. And this is what I was talking about before. It says a Fed-made digital U.S. dollar would let the government block transactions like buying a rifle or filling up too much gas, according to Ron DeSantis. This is what the article is quoting Ron DeSantis, and he's saying this is what the digital dollar would allow people to do. And we're going to come back to this. Would it allow transactions to be blocked? Okay. Continues here to say the Fed is exploring the idea to keep up with countries that have moved to implement their own digital countries, such as China. Now, China is moving to a digital currency. India, Russia, Nigeria. I mean, frankly, the world are moving to a digital currency. Why would the United States be exempt from that? Especially when they've talked about this. Let's continue. So it says last year, the Fed issued a white paper analyzing the potential pros and cons of issuing a digital dollar. The paper makes no mention of any intention to throttle transactions. Now, we're going to come back to that point. We're going to come back to this point about throttling transactions. We're going to come back to that because I'm going to pull up the actual white paper and I'm going to show you the red flags in the white paper itself. And then we'll open up phone lines. In his remarks Wednesday, Kennedy, now this is RFK, referred to FedNow as a central bank digital currency. Now, that's what I told you before. Be right and exact. Be specific in your speech because FedNow is not a CBDC. It's just not. It's not. It is a precursor and maybe an on-ramp for a CBDC. It is basically an update to digital infrastructure. That's really what it is. Or maybe, like I referred to it before, the train tracks for the train. But it's not the CBDC, and this is where RFK does nothing for us because then they can just take his quote and put it in an article and make us look stupid. And it's just a stupid take. To call FedNow a CBDC is just a stupid take. It's leading us to one, I believe. But anyway, it says here, as if we don't already have one. We already have one. It's just not mandated and implemented throughout all of your commercial banks. But anyway, let's continue. So he says, now listen to this. This guy Klein, he says, what DeSantis, this is Aaron Klein, senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. He says, what DeSantis is getting wrong is this idea that there's more reporting if there's a central bank digital currency than if it's a commercial bank digital currency. And this guy Klein is right. He's right. There is not more reporting when you move to a CBDC. They don't need reporting because everything is already recorded. They don't need a report. They don't need a report. All your transactions can go right through them. Cash going to be gone. I mean, it's kind of like that now. However, When you do a transaction, you are not transacting with the Federal Reserve. It's looped through various systems. If it's international, it's going through SWIFT. If it's America, it might be ACH or, some clearinghouse between a private bank and another private bank, a commercial bank and commercial bank, or private entities, and then to your bank, right? So if they wanted information, they would have to subpoena the bank or, issue a warrant or tell the bank, hey, we want your documents, right? And we talked about this in California versus Miller, et cetera, et cetera. When he did the whole distillery or whatever. So we know about the gross encroachment on the Fourth Amendment, or the destruction of the Fourth Amendment. So they don't need reporting because your transactions are going to go right through the Federal Reserve. When the CBDC comes, it won't be a commercial bank. There'll be one or two commercial banks that'll be chasing somebody else. Okay. Now keep in mind, it is J.P. Morgan who set up the Federal Reserve. So is it any wonder that J.P. Morgan chases? And don't forget, Chase comes from Salmon P. Chase. This is a guy who was here in early America. He served as Secretary of, what was it back then? Secretary of War, Secretary of Defense? No, Secretary of State, I'm sorry, which is the same thing basically. And Secretary of Treasury. I'll pull his face up and all that, but I've done it a million times on this channel. But it's Salmon P. Chase. So you got Salmon P. Chase. You got J.P. Morgan coming later on. And this is where you guys get J.P. Morgan Chase. Okay. If I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. So no, they won't need more reporting. They'll need less reporting because all your transactions will be going directly through the Federal Reserve. This will be the first time in history people's transactions will go directly through the Federal Reserve. Usually the Federal Reserve deals with the private institutions or the commercial banks, and then you deal with the commercial banks. This is cutting out the middleman. CBDC is going to just completely cut out the middleman. Get a copy of the Patriot Report. Natasha just posted a link in the chat. All right, so we've looked at all these things that they've said in this article, which feel like blatant lies. Now we have to actually look at the white paper and see what did the Fed say actually in their white paper. Give me a moment. I'll put that up on your screen. Bong bong. Hold on. Actually, I could create a new let's go here, and where is it? Did I not leave it open? Oh, there it is. Okay. Here we go. Can you see that? You guys should be able to see that now. Yeah, you guys can see that. Wait, what is this? Okay, it's this one. All right. So let's put this on your screen. You guys will see that. As you can see, I was in the middle of reading this thing. So let's go back to the top. So as you can see on your screen here, money and payments, the US dollar in the age of digital transformation, right? Issued January 2022. Now, there's no plans. They said there's no plans to do this, but there's a white paper. So let's see what the white paper says. Let me find my highlights. I know there's a faster way to do it, but it's okay. That's coming up in a second. So they talk about digital assets in this section, basically defining what they consider digital assets. And then here we get the chapter. Let's look right here. What page is the central bank digital currency on? Page 13. That's from our numerology conspiracy theorists. Anyway, he says in his white paper, they say, as a liability of the Federal Reserve, however, a CBDC would not require mechanisms like deposit insurance to maintain public confidence. So Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, SVB. You don't got to worry about that no more. And I'll show you. Nor would a CBDC depend on backing by an underlying asset pool to maintain its value. There's this idea of, reserve banking is going to be gone. You don't need any reserves. You're just going to make it up, put it up on the screen, and you guys are just going to transact, and then we'll adjust the supply as needed. And the computer will change some numbers and then boom, it's out of here. A CBDC would be the safest digital asset available to the general public with no associated credit or liquidity risk. So they're going to basically get rid of runs on the bank. You can't get a do a run on the bank. Come do a run on the bank. We'll just print more money. No problem. Done. Actually, it's not even printing money. It's just now. Let's do some history. When they decided to create the Federal Reserve, why did they try to create the Federal Reserve? Well, one of the reasons they wanted to create a Federal Reserve is to destroy competition. If my bank carries a reserve assets of 1% of my deposits, and my competition carries reserves of 20%, the public is going to have more confidence in them. However, I won't be able to over leverage my capital as much because of competition. And they won't be able to loan out as much money because they want to keep a certain amount of reserves. They're staying with these restrictions. But what these guys want to do, they want to leverage the capital and just loan out money without having any reserves so they can just make money on the money. So they create a Federal Reserve so they can fix interest rates, and then there would be no competition because we have price fixing. This is straight out of Keynesian economics. This is socialist practice. This is communism, basically. So fixing prices, destroying competition. And you see that here where they talk about no associated credit or liquidity risk, digital asset, okay? And then they say, while no decisions have been made on whether to pursue a CBDC, analysis today suggests that a potential U.S. CBDC, if one were created, would best serve the needs of the United States by being privacy protected, intermediated, widely transferable, and identity verified. Now, it sounds to me like they're ready to go, like they like this idea. Now, let's continue under the intermediated section here. It says the private sector would offer accounts or digital wallets to facilitate the management of CBDC holdings and payments. If you're in crypto, you know what that means. If you're not, well, you got to get caught up because this is the life you're about to live. Potential intermediaries could include commercial banks and regulated non-bank financial service providers and would operate an open market for CBDC services. So basically what they're saying here is keyword is could include, not will, not must, could include. So you'll have commercial banks, regulated non-bank financial service providers. And basically these non-bank financial service providers could be like, your investment app, your Cash App, your Venmo, these situations. These are the types of things that will be facilitating your transactions and hosting your digital wallets, et cetera, et cetera. Now it says uses and functions of a CBDC. Now this is where we got to pay attention here. So it says governments could use a CBDC to collect taxes or make benefit payments directly to citizens. And this is what I predicted in the past, right? We talked about this. We said your taxes, you're not going to pay taxes. This is going to be deleted from your account. It's just going to be removed. Now, let me ask you this. If the Federal Reserve manages the money for the United States of America, and they can just increase or decrease the supply at will, why do we need taxes? Why would people still be charged taxes? If you can just make up the number for whatever reason that you need, you found money for Ukraine, why would you charge people taxes? And it's simple. Destroy competition. You don't want upper mobility. What does Marx and the communists say? They want to destroy the middle class. You can't rise the ranks of the hierarchy when you got to give 12 to 30% of your income away every year and the money that you work for. So you'll work a quarter of the year just to pay the taxes or half of the year just to pay the taxes. And then your UBI will come in the form of the CBDC. Now, this is the part I want you to pay attention to. A CBDC could potentially be programmed to, for example, deliver payments at certain times. I'm going to read that again. A CBDC could potentially be programmed to, for example, deliver payments at certain times. Everybody see that, right? Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Right here. What did this article say? What did this article say? Makes no mention, the paper makes no mention of any intention to throttle transactions. And that's correct. It doesn't say we're going to throttle your transactions. I mean, why would they say that in the white paper? Why would they tell you that? However, if someone were to speculate, it's definitely plausible. It's right there in the white paper. If you can program it, for example, to deliver payments at certain times, you could program it to not deliver payments at certain times. And what else could you program it to do? What else could you program it to do? It says makes no mention of any intention to throttle transactions, yet it says right here in the white paper, it can be programmed to deliver payments at certain times. Is that not the ability to throttle payments, people? Is that not the ability to throttle payments, people? See, they're counting on people being stupid. And people are stupid. So this stuff is just going to float on by. This is now, I guess I'm a right-wing extremist because I'm talking about banking. And I'm talking about this CBDC, so I guess I'm a right-wing extremist. But they said, makes no mention of any intention to throttle transactions. No, there's no intention to throttle transactions. And this is where the left is very, very, very smart with their words. There is no intention to throttle transactions. There's only the potential to throttle transactions. And it's right there. Right in the white paper. The same white paper that they quoted in the article is the same thing I just put on your screen so everybody can see it and read it here. But they know people aren't going to actually read the white paper. So they can get away with saying whatever they want in the article because nobody's actually going to read it. Again, here, enable rapid and cost-effective payment of taxes. Again, why? Why? Now, potential risks and policy considerations. This section right here, I'm not going to go through in its entirety. I am going to leave that for your homework. I want you to read particularly this section right here. Changes to financial sector market structure. And I'm just going to read the first part here. A CBDC could fundamentally change the structure of the U.S. financial system, altering the roles and responsibility of the private sector and the central bank. Actually, let me continue. Banks currently rely, in large part, on deposits to fund their loans. And this is what I was talking about before. If you don't have deposits, how are you going to loan money out? A widely available CBDC would serve as a close, or in the case of an interest-bearing CBDC, near perfect substitute for commercial bank money. Substitute for commercial bank money. Substitute for a commercial bank money. This substitution effect could reduce the aggregate amount of deposits in the banking system, which could in turn increase bank funding expenses and reduce credit availability or raise credit costs for households and businesses. Similarly, an interest-bearing CBDC could result in a shift away from other low-risk assets, such as shares in money markets, mutual funds, treasury bills, and other short-term assets. A shift away from these other low-risk assets could reduce credit availability and raise credit costs for businesses and governments. Really what they're saying is, that bank that you bank with, they ain't going to be here no more. That's how I'm looking at this, at least. It ain't going to be here no more. The entire way that we do finance in America is going to change drastically. Says here, these concerns could potentially be mitigated by CBDC design choices. A non-interest bearing CBDC, for example, would be less attractive as a substitute for commercial bank money. In addition, a central bank might limit the amount of CBDC an end user could hold. Now, they just told us they wasn't going to throttle nothing. There was no intention to throttle. That's what they said. But it says right here, in addition, a central bank might limit the amount of CBDC an end user could hold. Is that not throttling? Whether it's your commercial bank or you. It's right there in the white paper. It's right there in the white paper. What are we talking about here, people? A CBDC could spur innovation by banks and other actors, more particularly other actors. And the thing is, before they roll out the CBDC, they're going to make sure that their friends and family are in place to benefit from this change in the financial sector market structure. They will be put in place. The VC money will move to, as they call it here, other actors, applications, apps, right? These things, this isn't conspiracy theory. This isn't right-wing extremism. This is me reading the white paper that dropped last year from the Federal Reserve. This is real. This is not right-wing extremism. But they're going to wait till they get all their friends in place so they don't lose their jobs, because the banking industry is going to change, and they're going to wait till all their friends move. Not everybody's going to make it. Some people are going to think like, oh, this is right-wing extremism, and they're going to come to work one day, walk into a meeting and going to say, hey, we're closing the doors. Meanwhile, their boss has already moved his investments into other private financial services and products that have been amalgamated with the CBDC program, et cetera, et cetera. It says CBDC could spur innovation by banks and other actors and would be safer deposit substitute than many other products, including stablecoins. Now, I told you before, people said, oh, they're going to destroy cryptocurrency. They don't give a damn about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is not competition. The stable coin is competition. And if you're in crypto, you know what a stable coin is. If you're not in crypto, you don't know what a stable coin is. Get your studies up. Go look at what a stable coin is. But this is who they want to eliminate, because that's direct competition. Cryptocurrency is not direct competition. Cryptocurrency, they like cryptocurrency. The powers that be love cryptocurrency because they can use maybe Monero to hide transactions. You got to remember, these people are dealing in human trafficking, trial trafficking, sex trafficking, all types of trafficking. So they want crypto there for these nefarious uses. If you don't think the powers that be are not using crypto and have a interest in them, you are sadly mistaken. Also, it helps them regulate the supply. It helps them regulate the supply of a currency, but that's another story for another day. These forms of non-bank money could cause a shift in deposits away from banks, even without a CBDC. Again, a shift away from banks. So we've said it before. Your bank gonna be gone. It's gonna be swallowed up. You will be banking with Chase or JP Morgan. Very few banks are gonna make it. They're gonna have to innovate. If you want to be a bank and still survive, you'll have to innovate based upon these CBDC stuff. So if you work at a bank, you better start making plans. You better start making plans for the future. All right. I'm not going to read the rest of this. I just want to read that section, but I would strongly suggest you guys read this section here on potential risks. Why is it not? Is it under? Okay. So yeah. Okay. So they have a potential benefits, and then they have a potential risk section. Okay. Under the CBDC section. Okay. I was about to say where I thought it was in the table of contents. So it is in the table of contents. So of course, under benefits, they always talk about inclusion, right? So this is what they're gonna do, right? So you have, like we just showed you. All right. Let's go back. Let's go back. We got to put all of this stuff in context, people, so it makes sense to people and they can draw the correlations. Who wrote this article? A black man, right? More than likely a leftist. He certainly ain't a right-wing guy. Talking about central bank digital currencies, right? But what does the white paper, how does the white paper sell itself? How does the central bank sell itself? Financial inclusion, underserved and lower income households. Oh, this is great for poor people. This is great for poor people. Oh, you'll get your tax refund faster. Everybody wants to hear that. Other federal payments. You want your UBI, you want your food stamps. Oh, CBDC is going to get it to you faster. Lower income households. So when you see the financial inclusion, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, that conversation, then you turn back and you see a black man go on MSNBC and write an article scolding, here he is, Jahan Jones, scolding black media outlets for warning people about the CBDC. Light bulb got to go off. Light bulb got to go off. These niggas is thinking again. Don't let them start thinking. We need them to push this CBDC. It's good for us. Don't forget cotton and slavery. Don't forget that. What that boy say, Pearson? Don't forget the lynching tree. Remember the lynching tree? Get the CBDC. Remember slavery? Get the CBDC. So this is how they're going to push black people into this thing. Lower income households. Impoverished communities. This is how they're going to sell it. They're going to sell it. And this is why the left loves it so much, because it sounds like something so great. This is under the benefits section. Now look, this is the benefits section. Improvements to cross-border payments. Oh, that's just Westernism, aka globalism, right? Safety. That's how they're going to sell it as safe. Support the dollar's international role. We spoke about that yesterday. You guys can go listen to that on Around the Blockchain. I'm not going to, go into that. But yesterday on Around the Blockchain, it was me, Scott Melker, and Mark Moss, just financial titans. It's a huge honor to be on that panel with those guys. Super brilliant, super smart. Loved listening to those guys and learning. I had Mark Moss on his channel. This guy's just a genius. Guru on these topics. Go watch that. That was a really good one. We talked about this. The dollar's role as the reserve currency. They said this last January 2022. So when you come back this year and they say, oh, BRICS, and they're decoupling from the dollar and the dollar will fail as a reserve currency. No. The CBDC gonna handle all of that. All of that. Right here. The dollar is widely used across the globe because of the depth and liquidity of U.S. financial markets, the size and openness of the U.S. economy, international trust in U.S. institutions, and rule of law. It is important, however, to consider implications of potential future state in which many foreign countries and currency unions may have introduced CBDCs. Some have suggested that if these new CBDCs were more attractive than existing forms of U.S. dollar, global use of the dollar could decrease, and a U.S. CBDC might help preserve the international role of the dollar. One of the benefits we talked about, financial inclusion, extend access to credit. 202-596-5631, 202-596-5631. We're going to open up the phone lines. Hold on. Let me get the phone lines open here. Shout out to my Rumblers on Rumble. Hold on. Shit, I gotta get the phone lines open. Allow. Okay. We're on Rumble, Hotep TV on Rumble. Appreciate your support. Shout out to Montana X over there. Appreciate you. How many people we got viewing on Rumble right now? Got 64 over there on Rumble. Appreciate y'all for watching and tuning in. 202-596-5631. Let me go ahead and put the number in the chat for the people. 202-596-5631. I know there's a bit of a delay. We'll go into super chats now. Juke Joint 523 Jordan said, LARPing Huey P. Newton. Word. Jabari Judah, Gen Z was raised on style over substance. These guys are right up their alley. Style over substance. Man. Massa NASA. Lefties in 2023. Trust no white man except ours. Make it make sense. Jonah Ryan, Chase Bank was a friend, colleague of Salmon, so he was probably there too. SCOTUS should not own the bank. Thank you for the correction. Cassius Cam, the social credit is an attempt to restrict people from creating culture. Best way to combat the insanity. They don't want people like me making music. Big facts.
Call from.
Yeah, you want to lie, my Hotep Jesus? Talk to me, man.
What's good? What's good?
What up, Jonah?
Nothing. You know, the dollar ain't going nowhere, and people need to realize, what is it, the SDR thing ain't go nowhere, right?
Right.
So when these companies or when these countries wanted, that's the guy I'm at for whatever, right? So now. With that bill that I said earlier today, where they suspended the habeas with Clinton and everything in 95 or 96 with Dole.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because you know what, when I was speaking with one of the other Hoteps on Twitter, I'm not gonna say who, because I don't drop names like that. I'm old school, right? But
yeah,
kind of funny. You know who was more free?
Who?
A black man before 1863. Like, can we go back to that? You know what I mean?
Oh man, oh man.
I'm not gonna. I'm old. Like I was born in the '70s, right? So I'm gonna actually say what needs to be said. I grew up on Red Fox and Pryor and Murphy, right?
Okay.
I'm not one of these kids that are gonna get upset. So it might be inappropriate for me to say that, but it's factual. You know what I mean?
Damn sure it's inappropriate, but you right.
Yeah, but it's not coming from an inappropriate place, right?
Right.
It's like Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy doing the trading spaces where Dan Aykroyd was Jamaican and then Eddie Murphy was the Irish guy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, no, man, it's funny because all these people don't see that the digital plantations can be far worse in Georgia in the summer,
Facts. In some ways, yes. In some ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Real talk.
And always, at least, if you're in these 15-minute cities, or if they get all the planes that they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to eat real food.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to consume nothing but stuff, so you're not going to have any ability to actually move or do anything, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah. Real talk.
Yeah. Anyways, I won't take up all your time, but.
Hey, I appreciate you, man.
I was blown away when I saw that. I knew the obesity system.
You said what?
Clinton doing it in '95.
Mm.
So, man, one last thing I'll say, actually, you know, like if you go back and like people knew what their rights were like back in 1800, right?
Yeah.
And no one knows that like they could just take your rights away. Like no one knows in America or Canada that they could just take your rights away at any point in time, right?
Right.
They give you this document and they say, oh, you're free until we decide you're not.
Real talk. Y'all appreciate the call in, bro.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Hotep and Bill. The chat said Jonah is on Adderall and coffee. Lord have mercy. Yeah, Jonah talks fast, man. He talks really fast. Just how he talks, I guess. Taxes are digital shackles, said Jonah Ryan. Real talk. David Zientara resists the CBDC. I agree. Jabari Judah, Amazon will be the middleman for the CBDC. Ooh. Now, if there's anybody that is going to be involved in the CBDC, it is Amazon. It is Amazon. Twitter is going to be involved. I know Elon, he wants, recently they said Twitter is no longer Twitter Inc. It's X Inc. or something like that. He wants it to be the everything app. So if it's the everything app, obviously he's going to handle payments. So he's definitely going to have some CBDC mechanism in there. Facebook, Instagram. I mean, it's going to be ubiquitous. But yeah, these large tech companies are definitely going to be involved. They're the only company with bandwidth, web hosting, and CPU to do those trillions of transactions in a minute. Yeah. I mean, how many companies use AWS? Much of our life is run through AWS. So it definitely speaks to the infrastructure that Amazon has built. I think in the future, Amazon will be the post office. Amazon will get rid of Amazon and FedEx. They'll be gone. DHL will be gone. Once they figure out international shipping and get those things in place in foreign countries, everybody's going to be fizzled out. It's all going to run through. He's going to turn Twitter into the WeChat. Yeah. That's exactly it, Step Colonel. Let me do a quick, make sure y'all get your tickets, hotepnation.com. Make sure you get your tickets for Hotep Con. Those are on sale right now. I just want to do it real quick, see if we missed anything trending while we've been here. Maybe we can talk about it really fast before I go. Okay, some soccer highlights. The Marvels movie drop. Why is Jim Jordan trending? Breaking in a 50-page lawsuit, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg just sued Jim Jordan. The lawsuit, according to the New York Times, says Jordan initiated a brazen and unconstitutional attack on the prosecution of Trump and accuses Jordan of intimidation. Jim Jordan thought he could. This is Ed Krasenstein. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Which screen are we on now? This one. So, this is the tweet I was talking about here. There we go. So I guess Manhattan. So Charlie Kirk says Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg has taken another extraordinary step in suing House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan. Damn. Manhattan DA that just filed a lawsuit against to block his interference and instruction of the DA's criminal case against Donald Trump. They want Trump bad, bro. They want him bad. So that's a little bit of breaking news there. Let's go back. What else is here? Somebody spelled Jim Jordan wrong. All right. That's all we got on that. That's all we got on that end. But anyway, like I said, in finality, if you want to stop the CBDC, you got to get a ticket to Hotep Con.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
All right, I'm lying. Okay, maybe I'm embellishing a little bit. But the sentiment remains true. You said, where can you find this report? Hold on. Let me give you a link to that. It was right in the article. They linked to it. They lied to us and linked to it. Like we couldn't just read it. Here it is right here. Fed issued a white paper. Boom, boom. Let's copy that. I'll put it in the chat for you. You'll have it in a few moments. Bing, bong. There it is. FederalReserve.gov. The white paper's right there, man. Right there. It's not conspiracy theory. It's conspiracy fact. He said, Jonah said, I'm on one of those. Am I one of those that takes uppers and goes to sleep? I'm one of those that takes uppers and goes to sleep. Oh, he's on uppers. Well, we kind of figured that. Jonah Ryan, you got to get some of this Master Focus, man. Try masterfocus.com. That'll really get you right. That'll really, really get you right. You're welcome, Gigi. You're welcome. Shout out to the members. Shout out to the members on my channel. I don't know if you guys know it, but you can become a member now, get access to our angry emoji set. We got Angry Biden, Angry Trump, Angry AOC, and Angry Uncle Hotep. Angry Hotep Jesus coming soon. We'll get that in there as well. Yeah, you're right, Natasha. They know most people are too busy or lazy trusting to read. Exactly. But yeah, I want y'all to go out and get some tickets to Hotep Con. It's a good time. This is our annual event. Come hang out with me. We got a good crowd coming out this year. As you know, we got Sonny Johnson. We'll talk politics. We'll talk science with Tanai Ricks. We'll talk mindset with Project Rook. And we're still working on sponsors. Shout out to Leah working on sponsors. Trying to get sponsors so we can get maybe Scott Adams or somebody to come out. So we'll work on getting a big name that you guys love to come out and hang out with us. Scott said to reach back out later this year, so we'll do that, and we'll see if we can accommodate Scott Adams. Shout out to the chat using the angry emoji. Shout out to Heather Harnett over here. Shout out to my Hoteps in the chat. You see that? You see those emoji. But yeah, in conclusion, they just like to lie and deceive, bro. Just lie and deceive. I mean, just look at this. They're afraid. Black culture platforms that push right-wing extremism. What is extreme about talking about a CBDC? And then when you link to the other articles about it, right? Is this it? No, not this one. When you link to other articles about it, what's this? Oh, that's the where's the article they linked to? Hold on. No, that's that one. No. Black audience being used to spread white extremism. That's the article on No Jumper. Not that one. Criticism. Is this it? No, not that. White nationalists invited. Oh, that's the Nick Fuentes. Oh, here it goes. I had it highlighted. Right? And then they come here and they say things like, you can't throttle transactions. When I showed you in the white paper that that's completely possible. I don't know, y'all. I don't know, man. You got to stay Hotep, man. You got to keep your third eye open. You got to be sharp. You got to do your readings. But there's a lot of misdirection, I'll say at the very least, is happening out here. A lot of misdirection. Look over here, don't look over there type stuff. And there's a lot I can't say on the internet, but we can talk frankly at Hotep Con. So get your tickets, hotepnation.com. I am Hotep Jesus. I'm about to go see what the kids is doing, make sure they on point. I'll catch y'all next time, man. I'll be here tomorrow, Monday through Wednesday, 2 p.m. I'll be here tomorrow. We're going to cover some news tomorrow, see what's popping tomorrow. And the Hotep's been told you 8 p.m. Thursday night, every Thursday, 8 p.m. with Uncle Hotep. That's the premiere show on his channel. And I'll be debating Cyprian on Friday. On the topic of AI. He thinks AI is like this evil thing or whatever. And he's not completely wrong, but we'll talk about that and find out, what he thinks on the matter. But in the meantime, make sure you're taking your master focus, man. Stay on point. I'll holla at y'all.
Didn't listen to me then. I bet they feel me now. Don't let me lose it. The booth not about to prove it. I set goals and pursue it. You the best to never do it. Invest my money talking fluent, stupid, ducking the Judas. It broke my heart, but over my eyes, you have no honor, I have no choice. Chasing the commas till I'm gone. I've been left for a minute. On my way home, mama, I promise, got caught up in it. Damn. Everybody eats when I'm batting at the plate. First, second, third, home, $1 million bed.